Welcome to the Liberating River, where spiritual freedom meets soul aligned wealth. I'm Wanda.
So let's go back to the man in the flood story. Because at first, at first, as we all have heard that story, it sounds like the flood was a disaster. Now, stick with me here. And sometimes it is. Sometimes the floods in our lives are disruptive. They destroy. They reveal what is fragile. They force movement. Floods do not ask for permission. Think about it. But I'm going this way. I think symbolically, the flood is mercy. Sometimes the flood ushers in movement. Sometimes the flood is the thing that makes it impossible to stay where you were never meant to remain. Sometimes the flood rises because your old foundation can no longer hold your future. Sometimes the flood comes to reveal the difference between faith and rigidity, between trust and control, between surrender and passivity, between identity and performance. Oh, and what about this? Between God and the box you placed around God, between you and the box you placed around yourself. Mm. And when the flood rises, the question is not just, will I be rescued? I don't think so. I think the question is, will I recognize rescue when it comes? Will I recognize help when it comes? Will I recognize the boat if it looks like a new idea? Will I recognize the helicopter if it looks like a new opportunity? Will I recognize wisdom if it comes through a different voice? Will I recognize healing if it requires boundaries? Will I recognize financial empowerment if it requires me to stop romanticizing struggle? Will I recognize spiritual maturity if it requires me to ask harder questions? Will I recognize purpose? Will I recognize purpose if it does not fit the career box? Will I recognize expansion if it makes other people uncomfortable? Will I recognize myself beyond the identity I inherited? Those questions right there. I think that's the message of the man in the flood. Maybe the answer has already come in forms you dismissed. Maybe the invitation has already appeared. Maybe life has already sent boats. Maybe the divine has already whispered, there is more. Maybe your soul has already been trying to get your attention. Woo! Maybe the discomfort you feel is not punishment. Maybe it's direction. Maybe the restlessness is not confusion. Maybe it is the beginning of truth. Maybe the old box is not failing because you are failing. Maybe it is failing because it was never built for you in the first place. That right there is the difference. And when you see it that way, you can stop blaming yourself for outgrowing what once held you. You can stop calling expansion ungrateful. You can stop calling honesty rebellion or being rebellious. You can stop calling your desire selfish. You can stop calling visibility being prideful. You can stop calling wealth unspiritual. You can stop calling freedom dangerous. You can begin by asking this is what if this is my boat? And you know what happens? That question right there may save you. The box or boxes you never chose may have shaped you. It may have protected you. It may have helped you to survive. But what I want you to know is this: that box is actually a springboard, not the final definition and destination of your life. You are allowed to examine what you inherited. You are allowed to ask what still fits. You are allowed to release what keeps you small. You are allowed to expand without dishonoring your roots. Absolutely. You are allowed to grow beyond the role. You are allowed to become more than the identity that helped you survive. And when the boats come, when the helicopter appears, may you have the courage to recognize the help in front of you. May you have the courage to grab the ladder. May you not reject what God is providing simply because it does not match the old script. May you stay open to the rescue even when it arrives in a form you did not expect. And may you always remember, the box was never meant to contain you. It was meant to become your springboard. Until next time, keep flowing in freedom.